like partying or like, you know, all the frat houses and stuff. It's all over the place, everything.
It's been a long time coming, but finally gonna do some Illenium. Yep. Alright, so we're setting our BPM to pretty unique 150 beats per minute. Obviously Illenium's a future bass artist, so he's sort of rocking around that 150 beats per minute range. As with Illenium, he does a lot of different tempos, so feel free to just go with whatever you're feeling at the time. So to create a bit of foundation for the track, I started off with a guitar, and as you know, if you listen to Illenium, he uses lots of guitars just as sort of builder of atmosphere and whatnot. Usually it's like a distorted electric guitar, but I've gone for a real nice acoustic guitar this time. As you can see, this is a MIDI, and I've sort of created a pattern, and this bass line down here, G sharp, F sharp, E, is what the chords will sort of revolve around for the rest of the track. I'm using a plug-in guitar. I just found this the other day. I was looking for really nice guitar plugins and found Ample Guitar M2 Lite, and yeah, it's just real nice guitar plugin. Sort of perfect for acoustic guitars, but yeah, it sounds really realistic, which I was really going for. As you can see here, I've got two guitar layers, and that's because one of my guitars is wide, so I've got some stereo enhancer on that, and then my second guitar is mono, so right in the middle. Put them together and you get a really nice full guitar sound. So the next step was to bring in sort of a bit of ambience just to sort of fill it out, create a bit of atmosphere, and I just got this tonal ambient sample from Cymatics, and it's not working. Right at the start of the track, I've sort of created this vocal sort of samples out of my main a cappella that I'm going to get to soon, just to create even more atmosphere. And you'll notice Illenium does this a lot. He sort of has like sort of vocal beds and vocal sort of ambience all around the track to just fill out and make it really atmospheric, sort of. I've used that word so many times. So I sort of fade these two samples in with a volume automation. And yeah, we sort of have a cymbal sweep up and a vocal tail, and that will fade into the start of the verse. I made these vocal beds by just getting my a cappella and whacking a reverb on it and just taking away all the dry signal, chucking up the wet signal, and sort of making it really long, and then just bouncing it out to audio. So to really make this an Illenium track, we need some nice Illenium vocals, and he uses really powerful vocalists that really give each song a unique feel. So I looked around, tried to find a good a cappella that really fit into an Illenium song, and got some Illenium vocals. So you probably know the song, obviously, if you like Illenium.
I could run, I could cry, I could plead, I could say it's never gonna get any better and leave.
So this is pitched down a lot. I think it's down 300 cents. And to make it sort of come back to that normal sort of tone, I put a manipulator on it.
I could say it's never gonna get any better and leave.
So without the manipulator, it's sort of like, you can tell that it's pitched down.
I could say it's never gonna get any better and leave.
But by putting the manipulator on and pulling it up 2 formants, it sort of brings the voice up to the normal tone, and that's not perfect. Honestly, you'll hear that it's
I could bleed.
sort of the manipulator is sort of buzzing out a bit, making all these weird sort of sounds, but if you just put it into your song, it sounds fine. So as we move through the verse, I added in some drums, some typical Illenium verse drums. And I also add like an acoustic sort of sounding bass. That bass is just the stock Ibanez from the FL Studio instruments. I also added lots of downlifters and risers and impacts to just sort of add a bit more variance to the track. Okay, now we're going into our build up. I full on cut my guitar and I've replaced it with a piano. We're following the same bass line again, and then I've got like lots of voices. I just want to experiment and come up with some really emotional tones. And you can see that I've lowered the velocity to make them softer. I've also used the randomizer to randomize the volume levels to sort of make it sound a bit more real. When you're playing a piano, you're not always pressing the keys the same strength as all the others, so that helps to make it much more real feeling. To start the build up, I fade in my ambience again, and I have my chord stack and my drop bass. Filtering in as the build up goes along, and that's the same with my vocal chops. My acapella is still going along. The build up starts really sort of quiet, and then I transition with some risers into a drum build up. So I've got snares there, some orchestral like main hits, some claps, and a kick. And of course we've got some risers in there. And that's what makes up the build up. So now we're ready to get into the drop. So I'm going to start off with the drums. First off, we got a big boomphy kick. And this is just 2 layers. Got a big low end thump. And then a top layer for that kick. We add a snare. Add some rides, and I also put some crashes in there. So the main part to an Illenium drop is the chord stack. Now I've taken the same pattern from my piano. Essentially, when you're doing a chord stack, you're just trying to get it as big as you possibly can without overdoing it. Like, you don't need 20 layers to get a big chord stack. I've got 5 here, but if you listen to them individually, they're all just slightly different in just simple little ways. I will have them routed to the chord master channel, and there I just cut off the low end. I added a little bit of distortion on them this time just to dirty them up a bit, and also whack some OTT on there to clean it up and give you more control over the mix of them. You'll notice that they're pulsing and there's no sign of automations anywhere. This is Kickstart doing that. Just set it up like that, 1/8 of a note. And also I've automated these starts and stops. so that just adds a little bit more variation than just playing the chords just all the time. Another vital part to your chord stack is the bass. Without the bass, your chord stack is just going to be so weak. You really need a good solid bass. Again, it's all about finding the right layers to add to your basses. So you can see they're all slightly different there, and you piece them together and you get something quite thick and quite beefy. And again, the basses and the sub are going to the volume automation bus, where I have the kickstart to make it pulse, so it's pulsing like the chords are. Oh, another part I almost forgot to mention was this top lead part of the chord stack. This is the top lead because it's just playing a singular note along the top of the chords. It's just adding a bit of character to the chord stack. And so I'll play the chord stack again. So you heard it without the top lead. This is it with the top lead. So now that we have our chord stack sorted, we need some Illenium signatures, which is the vocal chops. They sound like this. Nice. Cut those vocal chops from the original a cappella, pitch them up an octave, and then you can see there's a lot of stuff on here. Some of these are just filters, but the main things we got, oh my god, why is manipulator on there? It's doing nothing. Just leave him there, he's just chilling. I'm not gonna kill his vibe. Cutting the low end and cutting the high end here, and then push them back in again with some Camel Crusher, distorting the sound, adding some more highs in, and then fatten that boy up. Add some OTT as we always do, and we're also pulsing the kickstart, but instead of going through the normal drop volume automation, I've put these on 1/4 so they're not going as fast. So the chords and stuff would sound like this, but I went 1/4, so a bit slower. And then I have a little bit of reverb on the end that's not very long at all, 0.7 a second, so short reverb. I do have this mid-drop fill that Illenium likes to do. I have a part of the a cappella here, and I chucked some Camel Crusher on that. This was sort of a weird happening, but just chucking this distortion on here, listening to that over and over, I just started to hear this weird sort of tone in it, and it just inspired me to make this little bass fill. So if we play those together, then I added some toms, and that's just a pitch automation there to make it sound like we're hitting dun 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 dun, yeah, dun 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 dun. And that, boys, is an Illenium track.
I could run, I could cry, I could plead. I could say it's never gonna get any better and leave. I could throw my hands up, I could fall to my knees. I could tell myself I'm strong enough to give all the love that I need. But I still need you to ease my love. Hold me when the lightning strikes. Lead me home. And I I don't know which way is right. Tell me what is right. I promise that I'm not leaving for the side. No way I play it right. Promise that I'm not. You'll be my nightlight. You'll be my nightlight. You'll be my nightlight. I could count every time that I fall. Even when I'm in so deep, it gets hard to see you still are. I've been lost by myself in the darkness.